Hello again, everyone. It's me, MadameMacabre, and did I ever tell you guys about the time I almost was killed by lightning? Okay, I know that may sound a little bit dramatic, but I am not actually exaggerating. See, my family, ever since I was younger, always enjoyed doing more extreme sport type hobbies. We would often go snowboarding and skiing up on the mountains. You know, we'd go cave spelunking, and one of our personal favorites is whitewater rafting. Now, there's a big difference between, like, say, river tubing and actual true whitewater rafting. Yes, you can go on some easy peasy rivers, but that ain't enough for us. It doesn't give us the adrenaline junkie fix, you hear. And as you might have imagined, this isn't necessarily the safest of family hobbies and can lead to some interesting scenarios and stories. Personally, me and my family have gone whitewater rafting on just about every river in Washington state except the Skykomish. That's still on my bucket list, but that one's a little tricky because most times of the year it's just straight up deadly, so finding the time to go when it won't outright kill ya. But we'll see one day. Anyway, back on track. So this particular story took place on the Nooksack River. So, crazy, fast-moving water, lots of rapids. Very exciting, and I should clarify, we are very experienced at this, so it was safe for us to do so. I would not recommend starting off on a 3-4 river. If you have no idea what you're doing, please don't. But I am getting way too excited and off track, so let's just go right to the beginning of this little story. So my family had just arrived at where we were going to be going river rafting. Since we don't own our own equipment, the only way to legally whitewater raft in Washington state is you have to have a guide with you if you're going to use someone else's services. So it was my whole family on a raft plus a guide, and it was a wonderful day, you know, minus the little mishap. It started out completely without incident. The river was gorgeous. We got to see some beautiful farmland and forest land all around us as we made our way down the river. We were goofing around, splashing each other. It was freezing. There's no way around it. Washington state, all our glacier-fed rivers are horrifyingly cold, even with a wetsuit. So, you know, you go a little bit numb, but that's fine. That's normal. So we're making our way down the river, we're having fun on the rapids, we're doing a little bow crashing, which for those of you unfamiliar with whitewater rafting, if you get to a point where it's safe enough that you can lose one of your paddlers, that person can go to the bow of the boat, just like cram their knees into the inflatable raft, like lean over the edge like the mermaid on a ship, and, you know, get a face full of waves. It's freezing, but it's very fun. So we're, you know, goofing around, splashing, all that, having a good time. And we start to notice about halfway down the amount of the river that we're going to be rafting on that the skies are starting to darken. And Washington, we get a lot of rain. So we're like, okay. So we just keep going, keep doing our thing, but it doesn't pass. It gets darker and uglier, and it starts to give us a slight bit of concern because you can tell when it's storm clouds, and those were some nasty storm clouds a-brewin'. We debated pulling off and banking on the side of the river just to let it pass, but we were so close to being done with our trip, the guide was like, we can push through, it'll be fine. Well, as we pushed through, the last leg of our journey happened to cut through a massive canyon. Fun thing about rafting through a river that cuts through a canyon. There's no banks, there's just canyon walls. Once you enter the canyon, you ain't getting out of the canyon until you are all the way through it. You gotta commit. And so that's what we did. We get on into that canyon, the rapids pick up, we're going real fast. It is an absolute blast. But we start to notice while we're having our fun that the sky, it is uglier than it has been all day, and it has gotten really dark. And that is when the rumbling started. Now let me tell ya, when you are trapped on a little boat on a fast-moving river cutting through an inescapable canyon and you start to hear thunder rolling above you, It ain't the greatest, most secure feeling in the world. But there wasn't really anything we could do at the moment, so we just kept on going. And that is when the lightning struck. While we were in the river, in the canyon, we could see a flash of lightning hit the canyon wall above us. It was a huge flash of light and the most explosively loud noise I have ever heard in my entire life. It was honestly a really surreal experience. After the initial impact, the echoing sound sounded like the cracking of a huge bullwhip. It was insane, the weirdest, most eerie, haunting thing. And it was not just a single strike. Oh no, that storm decided that particular canyon, screw that one in particular. The entire time we were going through that canyon, lightning was striking the walls above us. Now, our guide that had been on the little boat with us that whole time he was like this really cool surfer looking dude with an Australian accent, told us he had done all this crazy adventurous stuff in his life. He had gone pale in the face and really quiet. And when you see, like your tough, adventure guide look like a freaked out corpse, you kind of get a little nervous yourself. But there wasn't any time for that, You're stuck. There ain't nothing you can do. So what did my family do? We just laughed about it and kept paddling. The way that my dad put it after we finished the ordeal was, there was literally nothing we could have done. So why freak out? If something bad happens, it happens. There's nothing we can do about it. So might as well enjoy the ride while we're on it. And the really crazy thing? Literally after we get out of the river, the skies lighten up and the thunderstorm decides it's done now. So it would just screw us in particular. I don't know, but it was fine from there. It was funny though, because once we got out and we were taking our wetsuits off and we were drying off, the guide actually came up to my family and he was like, that was one for the books, but I gotta tell you folks something. Yesterday, I had a family that was touring from Canada. Mind you, we're in Washington, so we get a lot of people touring back and forth from Canada because we share a border. Anyway, so it's like, I had a family from Canada who's touring down here yesterday. They were screaming and crying over every little splash and rapid. I can't even begin to imagine how chaotic it would have been if they were in that boat with me as we went through that canyon. They probably would have freaked out and we would have capsized and all died. So, first of all, thank you guys for staying calm, but second of all, how were y'all laughing and joking and making merry during all that? Are you okay? Yeah, my family's a little strange, it's okay, How else do you expect my family to be if I turned out this way, huh? But it all turned out well. In the end, we had a good time, and now I have this crazy story to share with you guys. Never been that close to lightning before in my life, and never care to be again. I mean, it was cool to hear, but I think once is enough for me. So, that is all the time I have for today's story, but what about you guys? Have you ever experienced, not even just lightning, but has there ever been a natural disaster type big force of nature display that you have been right on the front lines experiencing? Please feel free to share in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. But before we go real quick, if you haven't already heard, I finally have my new merch shop open. You can find examples down below the video, as well as a link to the shop there as well. I've got a lot of cool, fun, spooky designs there for you guys to check out. So please, if you want something, got mugs, shirts, tank tops, etc., you name it. So help yourself. Anyway, I will catch you all next time, and until then, stay creepy.